Story 1. The Cabin by the Lake. This happened to me 2 summers ago during the 4th of July weekend in a remote part of northern Michigan. My friend Jonah had invited a small group of us to his uncle's lake cabin for what he called a no Wi-Fi, no drama getaway. Just a handful of old friends, fireworks, cold beer and water. That's all I was expecting. But it turned into one of the most unnerving experiences of my life. There were 5 of us total. Me, Jonah, his cousin Aaron, and 2 of our friends from college, Sarah and Nate. We all used to be tight back in school, but life and jobs had scattered us across different states. The idea was to reconnect, grill some food, maybe set off fireworks illegally over the lake, and just unwind. The cabin itself was tucked about a mile off a dirt road, surrounded by thick forest. No neighbors in sight. Closest cell service? Probably a 10-minute drive back toward town. That first day was perfect. We drank, swam in the lake, grilled, played card games. We even watched some fireworks explode above the trees from some other distant property across the water. Totally peaceful. That night, we stayed up late telling stories by the fire pit. I don't even remember who brought it up first, but someone, maybe Aaron, joked that this was the perfect setup for a horror movie. Middle of nowhere, no signal, bunch of city kids acting like it's summer camp. We laughed it off, but something about that idea stuck in my head. I remember going to bed that night with a strange pressure in my chest. Not fear, exactly. Just this sense that something was slightly off. Like the woods were too quiet. Like there should have been bugs buzzing or frogs croaking. But there was nothing. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like footsteps on the gravel outside the cabin. I was on the pull-out couch in the main room. At first, I thought it was one of the guys stumbling back from a bathroom trip or something. But then I realized the footsteps weren't coming from the cabin. They were circling it. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to what sounded like footsteps on the gravel outside the cabin. I was on the pull-out couch in the main room. At first, I thought it was one of the guys stumbling back from a bathroom trip or something. But then I realized the footsteps weren't coming from the cabin. They were circling it. Slow. Kunk, 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 kunk. Then silence. Then again. Kunk, 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 kunk. But on the other side now, like someone was walking deliberately around the entire structure. I sat up, straining to listen. There were no lights outside, no motion sensor floodlights like you'd expect in the city, just pitch black. My phone was dead. I hadn't charged it after filming fireworks earlier, so I grabbed a flashlight and quietly crept toward the front window. Nothing. Just trees, dark shapes, and the moon barely illuminating the gravel path. I almost convinced myself it had been an animal, maybe a deer. Michigan's got plenty. But right as I was backing away from the window, something moved in my peripheral vision. A quick shape, like a silhouette slipping behind a tree. My heart was pounding so loud I swore it would wake the others. I waited. Nothing. Then the crunching started again, this time on the deck. Slow steps, deliberate. Wooden planks creaking under weight. Someone was definitely walking on the cabin now. I debated waking Jonah or Aaron, but I didn't want to freak anyone out if I was just being paranoid. I stood by the front door with the flashlight off, listening. The steps stopped right outside the door. I held my breath, and then 3 slow knocks, not loud, not desperate, just slow. Measured, like someone knew we were inside and didn't care. I didn't answer. I didn't move. A minute passed, then another. I heard the steps retreat off the deck. Gravel crunching again, then nothing. I barely slept after that. At dawn, I checked outside. No footprints. The gravel made it hard to tell anyway. I didn't say anything to the group the next day. Part of me didn't want to ruin the trip. Part of me didn't even believe myself. That day went by normally. We swam, made sandwiches, shot off fireworks early even though it wasn't the 4th yet. It was like I had dreamed it all. But that second night, things escalated. We were sitting around the fire again, same setup. Nate had just passed out, drunk in one of the hammocks, and Jonna was inside grabbing beers. That left me, Sarah, and Aaron. All of a sudden, Sarah pointed toward the tree line. "You guys see that?" We turned. At first, we didn't see anything, but then a figure standing completely still, just inside the trees. No flashlight, no phone light, just watching. Aaron yelled something like, "Yo, you need something?" Thinking it might have been a hiker or a ranger. No answer. The figure didn't move. Sarah grabbed my arm. "That's not funny," she said. I told her we didn't do anything. But my stomach had dropped. There were no cars parked outside, no boats on the lake. Whoever that was, they had walked here, and they weren't announcing themselves. Then, without a sound, the figure turned and vanished into the trees. We bolted inside and locked every door and window. I told them about the knocking the night before. Jonah and Nate both sobered up quickly when we explained everything. We stayed awake that night in shifts. Nothing happened again. Until the morning, when we finally opened the cabin door around 8 a.m., there was something lying in the middle of the deck. It was a matchbook. One of those cheap red ones with gold trim, the kind you find at old roadside diners. Only one match had been removed. The others were all burnt down to the tips, used, but no one in our group smoked. On the back, in neat writing, were the words, "You looked right at me." That was it. We left that morning, packed everything in under 20 minutes. Never even ate breakfast. Jonah's uncle said no one was supposed to be anywhere near the cabin. It was private land, no trails, no campsites. We never reported it. I don't know why. Maybe we didn't want to explain it. Maybe we thought no one would believe us, but none of us have gone back there since. And every 4th of July, I stay inside. Story 2, the firework field incident. This happened to my cousin Jenna on the 4th of July about 6 years ago. She was 16 at the time, and she still swears by what she saw that night. I didn't believe her at first either, but after what happened to her friend Ashley, I don't laugh anymore. Jenna and her best friend Ashley had snuck off just after the big fireworks finale. Ashley had a crush on some older guy from school and wanted to sneak a beer behind the bleachers. Jenna wasn't really into it, but she went along anyway. They lived in a quiet farm town in central Kansas, one of those places where everyone knows each other and fireworks on the 4th are a big deal. The whole community gathers at a giant open field by the cornfields for a show with firecrackers, sparklers, barbecues, the works. Jenna and her best friend Ashley had snuck off just after the big fireworks finale. Ashley had a crush on some older guy from school and wanted to sneak a beer behind the bleachers. Jenna wasn't really into it, but she went along anyway. The bleachers sat near the edge of the field, right before the corn roast started, and if you've ever seen a field of corn at night, you'll know what I mean when I say it moves. Even with no wind, it seems alive. The air feels thicker near it. It rustles when nothing touches it. Jenna said they were only out there for about 10 minutes, sitting on a patch of flattened grass near the crops, when they both heard it. The sound of someone walking inside the corn rows. Not a deer, not a raccoon. Footsteps. Human. Heavy. Deliberate. At first, they thought maybe it was one of the boys from school playing a prank. Ashley even called out, "All right, we know you're there." But no one answered. The steps just stopped. Then, a sound neither of them could place, like breathing, but it wasn't normal. It was moist, like someone with water in their lungs right behind the corn. Jenna freaked. She grabbed Ashley's hand and said, "Let's go." But Ashley, always the brave one, stepped closer to the corn. "Maybe someone's hurt," she said. That's when the corn parted and someone stepped out. Only Jenna said it wasn't someone. Not really. She described it like this: a man-shaped thing, but wrong. Way too tall, like 7 feet. Skin looked waxy, like candle wax that had just started to melt. It wore clothes, but they were soaked, dripping, and the eyes. Jenna said she'll never forget them. They didn't look alive, just wide, empty, and staring straight through them. Ashley screamed and stumbled backward. Jenna bolted. She says she didn't even look back to see if Ashley followed. She ran across the entire field, past the picnic tables, the burnt-out sparklers, and all the way back to the parking lot where the remaining crowd was clearing out. She grabbed her uncle, yelling that Ashley was in trouble, and at first no one believed her, but when they went back to the cornfield, about 10 minutes later, Ashley was gone. Just gone. They searched all night. Flashlights, police dogs, drones. They didn't find anything. Not even footprints where the grass had been flattened. It was as if the corn had closed back up and swallowed her. Except for one thing. Near where Jenna swore she last saw Ashley, they found a single firework, one of those red cardboard rockets. It was burned out, but someone had written on it in black permanent marker, "Don't follow the lights." That phrase haunted Jenna. She didn't even know what it meant at the time, but later she remembered something weird just before that thing stepped out of the corn. She remembered seeing flashes, tiny red and white flickers deep inside the cornfield. She thought it was leftover firecrackers, maybe kids messing around. But now she's convinced it was something else. 2 days later, Ashley was found. Or part of her was. About 20 miles away, a farmer discovered a jacket, soaked and torn, hanging on a scarecrow in his back field. It was Ashley's jacket, still zipped up, still had her name stitched into the tag. But inside the pocket was a photo, not printed, Polaroid. It showed Ashley standing in the middle of the cornfield, completely still, arms by her side. Her eyes were wide open, but not afraid, just blank, like she wasn't really there anymore. Behind her, just barely visible in the dark rose, was the shape of that same tall, dripping man. Police ruled it an elaborate hoax, said Ashley probably ran away and someone played a sick joke with the jacket. But she was never seen again. Her parents moved away the next year. No funeral, no closure. Jenna never went back to that field, and she never celebrates the 4th of July anymore. But here's what chills me most. 2 years ago, on July 4th, I got a text from a blocked number. No message, just a photo. It was a close-up of a firework, a red cardboard rocket, and written on the side, "Don't follow the lights." I don't know who sent it. I don't know how they got my number, but I deleted it. And I don't go near cornfields anymore.